Ron DeSantis, who has not yet announced that he is running in 2024, will not be at CPAC, but he was interviewed last night by Fox News' Mark Levin. Now, we're going to look at clips of the interview. The interview was completely deranged and delusional. It's not clear who's more deranged and delusional. Is it Ron DeSantis or is it the host, Mark Levin? But just for a little bit of context, Mark Levin has a weekly show on Fox News. And there's always these storylines that develop in media outlets, these sort of cults of personality or storylines that are used among different people. The storyline about Mark Levin is that he's the more serious guy. He is a legal scholar and he writes closer to what we might call real books. And he's so busy being an adult that he only hosts a weekly show on Fox News because he's really serious. And so when you sit down with Mark Levin and you've got the dark lighting, as you can see if you're watching, everything about it is, this is a serious interview with a serious person. And if you're so serious that you can be interviewed by Mark Levin, you must also be a very serious person. It's all a joke. It's all just complete and total nonsense. And Mark Levin is a bomb thrower, partisan bomb thrower, just like everybody else, spreads disinformation. I mean, it's just a story that they make up. But understand, that's the context. Ron DeSantis is a very important, deep thinker. And so he's going to come in and have a serious conversation with Mark Levin, starting with talking about the woke. And again, the framing here is they interview DeSantis as if he's already running for national office. He's the governor of Florida. Don't forget, he's the governor of Florida. But the context and the framing and the questions and the topics are, this is a guy who should be on the national stage and has a lot to say about national politics, starting with talking about the woke.
And yes, you do have to fight the woke in the halls of government and in legislative chambers.
Right.
And we have supermajorities as Republicans in Florida, so we will win all those fights. But you also have to be willing to defend your folks against this agenda being shoved down their throat from all these other institutions.
Terrible.
Where these people aren't necessarily coming up for elections. So you talk about things with like the young kids and with Disney.
Listen, this guy is at the forefront of the most important issues. The woke have to be fought in the halls of government. And I mean, look at this major issue of Disney. Disney affirmed in some nominal way gay rights. And so we've got to deal with the woke, folks. But understand, this is what Republicans want to hear. They want to hear a lot of the same pseudo-fascistic, so-called culture war issues presented in a marginally more serious manner than Trump presents them. Now, that's a separate issue from whether, if a campaign gets going, constitutionally, personality-wise, DeSantis has what it takes to face Trump. It's a different question. But this is the same old nonsense. He then talks about how there was an attempt to impose intersectionality. Oh, the horror, the horror.
Florida, our standards require teaching all aspects of Black history, and we think it's important. We also, when we banned critical race theory, which we were right to do.
Well, right or wrong, it was nonsense.
We also required in that same bill that schools have stories of inspiration about great Floridians and great Americans from a variety of different backgrounds. I want students.
We need an entire thing about Dana White and the heroic UFC events he held during the virus pandemic. Right.
To be inspired that they can do well in Florida, as they get old. Critical race theory is basically saying some are oppressors, some are oppressed. What kind of a message is that sending to these very young kids? So we require all of that.
Remember, there was no critical race theory being taught to young kids.
Our standards in terms of the basic history. What the College Board was trying to do, they were trying to impose CRT. They actually were trying to impose in a Black studies course queer theory. They were trying to impose intersectionality, and they were trying to impose effectively neo-Marxism. And so the question is if that's something you want to do on your own time, you're free.
Save neo-Marxism for the privacy of your bedroom, please.
To go pursue that. But for our taxpayers to be supporting that type of indoctrination, that is not something that we want to do.
Now, you might be hearing this and saying, David, what the hell is Ron DeSantis talking about here? Well, he's talking about the things that potential 2024 voters want to hear him talk about. It's the Glenn Youngkin sort of routine. Run on these things, talk about these things all the time, which aren't really issues and aren't actually happening. The topic came up of the Electoral College and the mandate and power that winning the Electoral College gives to a president. That's very interesting because, you know, a lot of these supposed small government conservatives talk about, you know, we actually should take powers away from the executive. They'll just say whatever they think they need to say.
Yeah, it's hard to remove them, you know, with the civil service rules and then the union.
Oh, and sorry, and this relates to the idea that they bemoan they would like it to be easier to fire government employees. That's the context here.
Rules and all the rest. And
well, there was one, there was a proposal that I think a lot of us wanted to see under the prior administration to do a
the prior administration. What was that guy's name?
Schedule F. So anybody that has any policy role is classified as a Schedule F, and they can be removed by the president. The left would litigate that, but I honestly think we would win on that in the Supreme Court. And I also
Isn't this a great, serious interview, guys?
think it's one thing to have some type of job rules for the bowels of the bureaucracy, like your supervisor, what they can do. President of the United States has Article 2 power. Who controls the executive branch?
Right.
Is it the elected president, or is it some bureaucrat in the bowels of the bureaucracy that can't
A lot of focus on bowels in this interview.
be fired? And so I think push needs to come to shove on this, but whoever gets a majority of the Electoral College has the right to impose their agenda through the executive branch.
Right.
And what they did with President Trump was basically try to nullify the election through not only bureaucratic intransigence, but malfeasance with the collusion hoax and some of those things.
Yeah. Wow. Really, really throwing in everything there. So listen, what they're talking about here is that the federal government is a major employer, and there are all sorts of jobs and roles within the federal government. There are some which truly are only bureaucratic positions. They are not in any way remotely political. And then there are jobs within an administration and federal government that are obviously political, the president's cabinet, for example, and well on down from there. And the idea was Trump and some Republicans have gotten the idea that in the middle, there's a ton of nominally bureaucratic positions that are actually very political. And so rather than having those jobs be protected by unions and mediation and arbitration, all these different things, they just want to make the president be able to fire all of these people. And these are huge numbers of roles. And of course, if you have the view that these really aren't political positions and these are jobs that people depend on in a way that a Secretary of State is not likely to depend on that job to feed their family, that they should be protected from a president coming in and just going, replace everybody. Not to mention, in a lot of these jobs, you really don't want to be replacing people every few years is the truth. So this is what they're talking about, making it easier to fire people. So again, a completely deranged interview, authoritarian, while still pretending that he's kind of small government, framed as a very serious discussion between legal scholars when it's actually just the same tired political nonsense with a little bit of different window dressing. And quite frankly, if Ron DeSantis decides to run for president, that I think is what the candidacy will be. The same old political nonsense and supposed culture war issues as a shield for authoritarianism with slightly different window dressing. All of these clips that I've played for you here, we'll have them on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The David Pakman Show, but also on the Spanish YouTube channel.
And so
What was that? A clip just started. Something is glitching. Do you guys hear that? Oh my God, I got to get out of here. Dear God. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's close everything. Jeez, that was really embarrassing. The Spanish channel, davidpakman.com/Spanish, approaching 2,000 subscribers. Let's take a break. fix all the technical problems, and come right back. One of our sponsors is private internet access. Most apps and websites send tons of your personal information to tech companies and data brokers based on your IP address. They have a disturbingly accurate understanding of who you are and what you do online, even when you're using incognito mode. But you can put an end to it by using a VPN. The only one I use is private internet access because it's the only VPN that is proven in court multiple times. They are not logging your activity. Their no-log practices are even independently audited by Deloitte. Private internet access also hides your activity from your internet service provider, who is also usually logging everything you do online. Private internet access is also lightning fast for downloads and streaming content normally only available in other countries. Private internet access couldn't be more simple. Take a second to download it, turn it on, that's it. You don't need to know anything about computers. Go to piavpn.com/Pacman to get 83% off. That's only $203 a month, and you'll get 4 months free. The link is down below.